Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So the picture that is being painted with regard to our ability to engage in any kind of an operation in Cuba, the picture that is being painted, in spite of assurances that there are no ongoing preparations to do anything particularly militarily, but the picture I have is that I'm getting is that it would not take very long for us to be able to respond in some fashion. If the president said we are going to go and we should seize Cuba, wouldn't we be able to execute on that in a pretty expeditious way? General Donovan?
Senator, since we do not have that plan, that we have a number of tasks for Cuba, but since we're not executing any rehearsals for that plan, the number of forces required, we have general ideas, but the focus right now is purely on securing Guantanamo Bay and the U.S. Embassy to protect American personnel. That is the only facts and figures and planning we have underway at this time.
How long would it take for, if the president gave an order to seize Cuba, because it's a pretty unstable situation there now, how long would it take for you to be able to execute on that order?
Senator, I'd have to go through a planning process with the Southcom team to determine what are the actual objectives of the operation, to determine what size force would be required. But again, we are currently not executing that planning at this time.
Well, the picture I'm painting, and I don't want to get into an argument with you about this, General, but I do think that you're already there, and therefore you're paying attention to what's going on there. It doesn't seem as though it would take very long for us to execute any kind of a plan there. Southern Command has previously worked with USAID on humanitarian aid to Cuba, and now that this aid has been cut, has that not really made the humanitarian aspects of what you're doing with regard to Cuba more difficult?
Secretary, as the U.S. State Department is restructured in those elements that were USAID in the past, actually, I've asked a lot of questions about this because I grew up for 37 years, have operated with state and USAID across the globe. There are other entities that have taken up those roles inside of the State Department, and now we are connected with them on the aid front, in many ways similar, both in disaster relief and in planning. So we have some of the similar capabilities, just not the name, and we are learning how to actually work together in the new structure from the State Department.
General, based on the questions from a number of the members of this committee, you can see that there are definitely expressed concerns about what might be in the president's mind with regard to Cuba. General Gillow, I know you are working closely with General Gerline, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, on Golden Dome. And as you know, Hawaii is unique for purposes of missile defense with you and Admiral Paparo sharing responsibilities based on the kind of threat being posed in terms of our need for missile defense. So General Gertline previously committed to me that defense of Hawaii will be included as part of Golden Dome mission, missile defense, architecture, and I just want to get that kind of commitment from you.
Senator, absolutely. The defense of Hawaii from ballistic missiles is a responsibility of U.S. Northern Command, and from the very inception of our planning for Golden Dome with General Gutlein, it has included the ability to protect those islands from ballistic missile defense. And to your comment, ma'am, on the cooperation with Admiral Paparo, since it's a shared defense of Hawaii between our two commands, we've combined our main exercises, Northern Edge and Arctic Edge, to ensure that it is seamless protection.
Thank you. That's reassuring. General Donovan, in light of what happened with the strike on the school in Iran, there is a concern that we ought to be doing everything we can to mitigate harm to civilians. So during your confirmation hearing, I raised concerns about reports that Southcom lacked a functioning mechanism to receive civilian casualty reports, and that Southcom civilian harm mitigation staff have been cut from 4 personnel to a single contractor. You had not assumed your responsibility at that point. And I'd like to hear what steps Southcom has taken to address the issue of mitigating civilian harm in any of your actions.
Senator, yes, and I did, that's one of the first things I did to look at our program for not only planning, but response to operations. And what I found, as you mentioned, 4 positions, we had 4 positions. One I'm paying for out of my own budget to ensure that I do have that capability built as a separate entity. Moved the other capabilities into our J3 fires and kinetic effects, so they're part of the planning cell and part of the any investigations post.
I take it that you are increasing your capacity to be able to mitigate civilian harm.
Yes, Senator.
Thank you.